All right, so we are here at Albert Park, and we've obviously got an iconic car with us. And there's an iconic woman behind this car. She is a media legend. It could be you, Pat. You are in front of the car. Elise Elliot, come on in. Come down here, guys. So, convertible 68,
68.
Mustang.
Yeah, that's right. So this is a beautiful 1968 V8 302 V8, which is a very specific and fabulous V8 to have. And I've always wanted a muscle car. And this is my dream car. Of all the hundreds of cars I've ever driven, if someone said to me, what's your dream car?
This is the one.
This is the one. This is the one.
I think this is a lot of people's dream cars, to be honest.
Yes.
It is a beautiful car, and I'd love you to take us through what you've done to this car and the little bits of history to it.
Yeah, so the backstory is my dad owned the coolest Monaro, a 1970 Monaro, and it was great. And when the kids came along, he had to sell it and buy a Volvo station wagon. And I think that story would resonate with so many people out there when you've got to relinquish your dream car for a family wagon. Yeah. So I made a vow to my dad that I would buy a muscle car and take him for a spin. So this was my kind of tribute to Dad having to sell his muscle. So I test drove a lot. I knew what I wanted. The Mustangs that are a classic, there's the sort of 64 to 66 that are quite small, a little bit pony in shape. For me, the sweet spot is 67, 68. So that, to me, in terms of shape, style, is the sweet spot. And then 69, they start getting really muscular, and that's sort of not totally my aesthetic.
It's not a bad thing.
Sweet spot. So I test drove a lot. I knew I wanted a convertible. Look, yeah. I toyed with a 68 fastback, a GT like Steve McQueen's in Bullet, in Highland Green, but I settled on convertible. So test drove 8 and found the one.
And do you ever drive with the convertible? Is it always with the convertible down, or you?
The convertible down. Always
so
with the.
You see this flying around Melbourne, you know who's driving.
Got it. I won't say rain, hail, or shine because I do not take it out in the rain. I do not take it out in the hail, but certainly shine for sure.
Yeah.
And how long? I know that you said she has a name.
Yes. So I actually put a little poll out there and said to my
ask the people.
Put it to the people. What was?
It's always a risk.
Beautiful car. No, and some were funny. Great names. Very creative. And someone came up with Betty Davis, the classic American with the big blue eyes. And I've got a classic American in, this is factory colour, and it's actually presidential blue. So Betty is her name.
Good day.
All right, Betty.
Betty. So when did
Davis.
When did Betty grace your life?
A couple of years ago, but I've been without her for quite some time. Recently had her restored, and I got lots done, so I'm happy to talk you through it.
Yeah, can you talk us through the process of restoration and what is involved in that? Because there's a lot of people that would want to do that, but there are cost-effective ways to do it, but it also can be expensive.
There's 3 ingredients. Blood, sweat, tears. Lots of tears. And a lot. It's not cheap. To the point.
And cash flow.
And my restorer's number. I just ended up putting his name in my phone under a $sign. So it's just like when my phone rang. It was just great. Flashing dollar signs. So it's not cheap. So it always costs more than you think and takes longer than you think.
So it's like building a home. When a builder says, oh, it's going to be done in 2 weeks. No, it's actually going to be done
in 2 months.
So look, first thing, the good thing about this car is under the bonnet it was pretty schmicko. So from a mechanical perspective it was great. So do you want to have a little look under here? This is my favourite bit. So now what are you going to do about the camera there? We'll come back to that.
I'm going to just go with the audio and then I'll come back to it.
Okay. It's still a bit hot. That's the only thing.
All right, I'll get the camera then.
Oh. Incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
So, under the bonnet, the most important bit, obviously, we have a very nice V8. And this is a 302 V8, which is sort of came in the late 1968 in lovely, lovely condition. So the only thing I had to get here was a new fuel tank, and that's it. So from a mechanical perspective, fabulous. She starts every time, and
That's what you want to hear.
yeah, fabulous. So for me, a lot of the work was cosmetic. So I can talk you through this. I really wrestled with the steering wheel. So what happened in 1968, Mustang, and I use this term loosely, in a nod to safety, they introduced what I think was a little ugly steering wheel, and it had a padded band across here.
Nothing screams
Yeah,
safety
just
like a padded
band. You know, the padded band, in case you brake really suddenly and hit your head on the panel band, for heaven forbid, but jesting aside, it was not an attractive steering wheel. This is actually a 1967 steering wheel. Now,
Nicer than the current ones.
yes, thank you. I agree too. Thank you. They have something special.
And if you didn't hear that on the side, this car attracts a lot of attention. So we've got a lot of fans following us. Yeah.
So look, this is from America. It's a 1967 steering wheel. Now, the problem with that is then if you want to put it into certain competitions, is it true to its gear?
Yeah, okay.
But what is blindingly obvious is this has been converted to right-hand drive. So it's not 100% original anyway. So once that and I actually bought it converted to right-hand drive. Given that conversion had happened, then I had a bit of latitude when it came to restoring it and adding my little touches. So given that, I went this beautiful 1967 steering wheel with the fabulous wood finishes, and yeah, I really love that. Another thing I did is, and this is kind of cool, it's a bit clunky, but aircon and heating. Now, you think in a convertible, I don't need aircon and heating. You actually do need aircon and heating because winter is pretty cold in Melbourne, summer blisteringly hot. So this little system does work, does blow cool and hot air. So fancy schmancy. Then what is driving a convertible without cool tracks, right? So this is a very clever company that have brought in stereos that look like the original stereo, but they're Bluetooth connected. So when we're driving along, we can turn it on, it connects to your phone and can play whatever tunes you want, which is fabulous. Funny little quirk.
No Apple Play, obviously.
Funny little quirks in this car. This is what I call my James Bond secret cabinet. When I first got it done, they forgot to put a backing in there. I put my phone in there and it went straight through to the engine bay. Special. Anyway, so that's my little secret compartment for, well, who knows what. Anyway, back here, always important, ashtray. No, kids don't smoke. I do not suggest it, but I find it extraordinary that there's ashtrays in the back.
That's
one
a
for
blast
each
from the
side.
past.
Isn't that a blast from the past? Remember that?
Yes.
So, I mean, even though I don't smoke, I don't condone smoking, I had that all redone, so it's actually very specific to the era. And I've got to say, with the presidential blue exterior, I think having that cream leather interior is a really lovely, classy contrast.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I am obsessed.
Yeah, it's really lovely contrast. You know, you can get them in triple black, black and a black roof. And I don't know, there was something, I know this is a bit anomalous to say, but something elegant about this colour combo.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and what I love about these cars is the visceral feel. Like you really feel you're driving a car. You know, no electric windows. You've got to use a bit of muscle, you know. Look at that. Muscle. Oh. And then you can, what's called fat arming it. Just cruising down the street with your elbow out. I love that. Not sure about other.
Wait, what'd you call it? Fat arming it? I've actually never heard that term. That is hilarious because that is exactly how I drive. And now I feel like if Tom, my fiance, hears that, he's just going to be like, oh, stop fat arming it. So, yeah, something's going to happen.
Yeah. So This is all true to original, the entire dash. I had it all this chrome replaced, which is fabulous. And obviously the stereo, which is great, but I still want it to look like it did in 1968.
There's nothing else she's ready to go.
She's ready to rock.
Yep.
All right, let's get in, Pat.
Let's get in.
So before we go for a drive,
Yes.
because I can't wait to turn this on. Well, not me, you. We need to know a story about the Mustang and relating to the Oz GP, because I think I saw something on social media which seemed quite fun, and we'll insert it here.
Oh my God, Liam, I'm so freaking excited.
Oh, I mean, I'm excited. I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's
I don't want to know you don't know what you're doing. But
it's my first time driving the car, so don't judge me.
a Gen 3 Mustang supercar with Liam Lawson driving it. This is Liam's first time, apparently.
Yeah, I've done one lap.
You've done one lap in
This
this.
is my second lap.
So we had the Coyote 5.4 litre V8.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Thank you. And I have great faith in you.
Thank you.
That was so wild.
Is it good? Okay, good.
And now you can tell us about it.
That is the Mustang Gen 3 supercar driven by Liam Lawson, no less. And they asked me, did I want to do a hot lap with him? And I said yes, before the question was already out. He thanked that car. He did admit it was his first time.
Which I think is wild. You do not admit that as
I know,
a driver.
and I'm there in my harness, too late to escape. I couldn't even run away. I'm like, okay, this is your first time. It is my first time. But in his first time, sort of deference to him and him as a person and a driver, he was incredibly calm, incredibly cool. But we fanged it around that track. What a privilege.
What a privilege.
And you can't tell us how fast.
Okay, had a lot of zeros.
A lot of zeros? Is that 2 zeros or 3? Can we go up to 3 zeros? Probably not. But, and what were you holding on to? Him?
I wanted to. No, I had my hand printed into the dash, which was, pretty exciting.
still there.
It's still there.
And you're with Daniel Ricciardo in a Mustang as well.
The year before. Yeah. So that was in the Mackie, which is really interesting, an electric car. Daniel and I did, do you like that first name basis? Daniel. I did a hot lap in the Mustang Mackie. Interesting they use the Mustang badge for that car. It is electric. I think moving towards hybrids, electric cars is an inevitable evolution of motoring. It's one that I still wrestle with on a daily basis, having a passion for VR.
I know, well, this has got the noise in here. It's going to be, that's one of the things that I struggle with F1, because obviously we have FE and there's got to be some, like you said, it's evolution. But maybe they'll just do the fake noise, like a Diet Coke. It's not the real thing.
Is it the real thing though? Is it the real thing? Who knows?
Charge it up and you got to pay extra if you want the noise.
I'll give you the real thing in a moment, all right?
Yeah, we'll just come and sit here for the real thing. Hey, Elise, I want to know.
Yeah.
When did you get into automotive? How did you get into automotive?
Yeah, so I was a journalist. I worked in Canberra's press galleries, a political reporter. I worked in daily affairs, current affairs. Worked in daily current affairs. Can be quite a soul-destroying job, that one. And I thought, what do I love? I love cars, so I started moonlighting, writing for Wheels magazine. Yep. They started a car show called Which Car, and it just parlayed into this fabulous kind of extraordinary career, dovetailing my two passions, media and cars, and it's been really, really exciting and thrilling. I will say, as a woman, I feel I've had to work 120%.
It's like we always do.
I have to work a little bit extra, but I love it, and I bring being a woman to the job. 50% of drivers are women. They make up to 80% of car making decisions. Yep. They're often very overlooked. I've been to press conferences and they'll say, "Good evening, lady," singular, and gentlemen, and there'll be 30 male journalists and me. But I've loved it. It's been great. In addition to proving yourself, there was a little bit of inevitable trolling at the start, but I ignore them.
Yeah.
Never engage.
We were having this conversation earlier. I had this conversation with my husband last night. Like, you know, we recently uploaded a video and there's so many just men saying things about what do you know and you know nothing about this and you've only gotten into F1 because of Drive to Survive. It's like, well, actually, you know nothing about our past and how we got into this.
I think the thing is the proof is in the pudding. So for me, like someone might say, what do you know about classic cars? I'm like,
well, actually, let me show you.
let me show you rather than tell you.
I think it's almost like a way to just push you to work even harder and be like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah. So there you go.
With that in mind, you have a teenage daughter.
Yes.
And for girls that are looking up to you and looking at women in automotive, what sort of advice do you give them?
I think go for it. It's been a really thrilling, exciting career. I like the juxtaposition between still being a woman, heels and wheels, baby.
Yes.
I'll wear my studded ankle boots and won't hang around a race circuit with a manual.
I mean,
in them,
you could.
But, you know, you can still be a mum, you can still be a woman, and you can still have a great knowledge of cars. And so I bring that with me. I don't try and be one of the boys. I found a really supportive camaraderie with a lot of women in motoring, which has been great. There's sort of only a handful of us in Australia. We stick together and that's great. And I now built up sort of enough experience. I test drove 40 different cars last year, from a 56 Cadillac to a 2024 McLaren and everything in between. And I think, you know, I've driven enough now that, the proof's there.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I think as well, on the topic of women supporting women, you're on our podcast today.
Yes,
but you also have a podcast.
I do. I'm on a podcast, a 9 podcast called The Elliot Exchange with my husband, Tom Elliott. He's the mornings host on 3AW. And we're still married. We do this podcast each week and we are still together. It's actually great. I've said to people it's like therapy because for half an hour each week, we have to sit down and talk about stuff.
You're being forced to be in a room
that.
together.
Oh my God.
On the topic
because
of
you're
women
funny. And I
supporting
go,
women.
you're really smart. And he goes, I didn't know you like that. And I'm like, I didn't know you like
So
that.
funny. There you go. I think that's a tip for a lot of couples.
there you
Maybe
go.
they should do like
couple goals.
Yeah, maybe that's what they should do for a
That's
podcast.
right.
Who's the better driver, you or Tom?
Oh, me hands down.
Oh, okay, Tom. Tom, you heard it here first.
It's not even a question. All right.
I'm going to cut that clip and specifically send that to him now.
And I want to know as well, out of the two of you, who's more into cars?
Oh, look, he has a great passion for cars and has really supported me. He's just bought the Mustang Dark Horse 2024, could be the last of the V8s. And I respect his love of cars. It's just I own many more cars. And I survive school drop-off.
And she's hotter in a car as well, by the way.
Thanks, baby girl.
I'm worried about that one.
It's just
school drop off.
Grand Prix. So obviously we're at Albert Park. You've just taken us for a drive around. That was beautiful. There's so much infrastructure going up. So if anyone driving around, just be
Well, I think they'll close it soon.
wary of that because we're only a couple of weeks now, a couple of days. Who have you got?
Well, look, it's such a mercurial thing, isn't it? F1 racing, and it's too early to pick at this stage. But I think who to watch for theatre intrigue would be McLaren. Yeah. I've got a soft spot for McLaren. I've been to Woking. I think their headquarters is one of the most extraordinary places I've ever been. I've test driven their beautiful GT. That would be my second dream car. And, you know, you've got to back an Australian, so Oscar, you know, all the way. And to have that internal friction, competitiveness, or to use that word again, camaraderie is really fascinating. Personally, I think internal friction is the downfall of any body, whether it be a F1 team, whether it be a political party, you know, whether it be a friendship group. So I hope that they get along. I'd be really interested to see and to watch that from an intrigue perspective. So McLaren for intrigue.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Do you have a favourite watch point on the track?
Oh, I know. The closest to the action.
I know. We were saying as we were driving around that all, like, obviously the metal barriers are going up along the straight and how amazing it would be if they weren't there. Obviously, safety comes first. But
no. Look, I've been in different spots and they're all fabulous for different reasons, you know. And they all stir me. I mean, those cars bang past and there's a fire inside me that just gets ignited.
Elise, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for showing us this incredible car. It's it's beautiful, and I don't really want to get out. I know you have to go to work.
You have to go to your podcast.